Welcome to Kevin Richards VIPs. Today's guest is an amazing woman, proving that one person can make a difference in this world. Today we get to know Christine Eisses. We're in beautiful Oro Medonte. I'm sitting here with Christine Eisses. Christine, this is a beautiful home and I love it out here.
Thanks.
It's fantastic. Christine, there's so much to know about you and the things that you do, but let's talk a little bit real quickly just about the Eisses family. They're heavily involved in the community. There's so much that they do, and it's very diverse. Why don't you tell me about that?
Okay, so my father-in-law is Ed Eisses, and he belongs to a rather large family. His parents came here from Holland when his brother and sister were really young, and they all established themselves here and really dove into the community. They are farmers, and they're in construction, and they're running their own businesses, and they're involved in charities and churches, and it is a very busy, community-oriented family, and it's fun to be a part of.
That's cool. And so you've been welcomed into this family, and they're big on their faith, and they're big on helping the world, right? Their footprint and impact in this planet is wonderful. And so we're going to dive quickly into how amazing the things that you do are, right? So you are the founder of the Emmanuel Wish Foundation. Mm-hmm. Tell me who Emmanuel is and how this happened. Where did you meet Emmanuel and who is he?
Okay, so Emmanuel was a young man that I met in the Philippines. Oh, I would probably guess now 15 years ago.
Okay.
My husband and I were looking for a charity that we felt that we could be very, very involved in. And so we went with the Bible League out to the Philippines to do a whole bunch of different relief work and evangelism. And we spent some time at a garbage dump where 10,000 people live day in and day out, and they search through the garbage to find food, things
That's
that they
big
can
in
sell.
Haiti and places like that too.
It
in
is.
the Dominican Republic.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so you actually just got inspired. And people who get inspired sometimes will say, I've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
But that decision to actually go.
Yeah.
So you wind up in the Philippines
Yeah.
with your husband.
Yeah.
And so how did you know where to go and how did
Well,
you find this place?
So we were at the dump, and it was this huge hill you had to climb, like literally climb to the top of the garbage. And then you get to the top, and there's all these people, and they're
Living
all
in the dump.
living there and digging. And so our job was to go through and talk to these people and just bring some hope and do some advocacy for them with the government so that these people would have rights, because they didn't have any rights whatsoever. They weren't given birth certificates. They weren't given any kind of acknowledgement of their humanity.
And they are Filipino living in the Philippines?
Yeah, born in the Philippines.
Oh, wow.
And the government did not know on paper of their existence. So we were walking through, and I kept getting the saddest reaction from people. I'd go to talk to someone, and time again, they'd say to me, "Don't touch me." And I'm a touchy, huggy kind of a person, so I started to feel like,
Yeah, I come from that kind of
what's
family
going
too.
on? And then I realized that it wasn't me. It was that they felt so dirty that they just didn't feel.
Sort of ashamed.
Yeah, they felt ashamed. They didn't feel like they should be around me. So I spent all my time just pouring into equality and love, and we're all equal and we're the same. And as I was walking through and just talking to all these people and hugging I probably looked like a complete maniac, to be honest with you, but hugging all these people, and I had my sights set on this one man, this group of men, and so I started heading off towards them, and then from the side of me, I'll never forget it. This voice from down below said, "Hey, what about me?" And I turned around, and there was a young man sitting there, and he was scrawny, and he was dirty, and he was sitting right down in the garbage, and he had a bag, and he was going through it.
Being a dad, this is heartbreaking to imagine a child in a dump
Yeah.
looking for food.
Yep. It was awful. And I sat beside him, and we just started talking and talking and talking and talking. And we went through some deep, deep stuff. We talked about, everything I do is because of my faith in Jesus Christ. And so he just asked me some of the toughest questions ever.
Like what?
Like, If God is love, why am I here and you're there? If we are truly equal, why is the world this way?
So then how did you answer those?
Well, we talked about the world doesn't have to be this way. God is love, and he does love those in poor position, and he does love those who need his help. The thing is he created each and every one of us.
Well, blessed are the hungry, right?
Blessed are the hungry. And you know what? There is enough resources to go around in this world. He created enough. It's just us that may not know how to share it.
That tends to not.
Yeah. And so we talked about, in heaven, one day we walk the same streets of gold. The two of us will be the same. It's not, in here there may be inequalities and challenges, but we live in a fallen world.
This is how he walks on earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we spent this time, and honestly, I didn't go anywhere else for the rest of the day. I just sat and dove through these deep questions with this man for the whole time, with this young man. And then the group came past me, and they said, okay, it's time to go. And so they all go down the hill, and I'm still there. My husband comes by. Okay, Christine, it's really time to go. Down he goes.
It's hard to let that go.
He comes back up the hill. Okay, Christine, everybody's in the car. We really have to go. So now I'm sobbing. Emmanuel is sobbing. We're both looking at each other like, how do we do this? What do we do? We just were instant friends. And so we just, I did the whole, Emmanuel, I can't leave. I don't know how to leave without feeling like I did something for you.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know. What can I do? And if he had asked for the shoes off my feet or what, I would have done anything. But he just looked at me and he said, Christine, just tell my story. Don't forget me. Don't forget about me and tell my story. And so when we decided to start Emmanuel's Wish, we named it Emmanuel's Wish for two reasons. One, I have no choice but to tell his story because people ask. And, when you get into your day-to-day life, it's easy to forget. So this is one way of making it so that I can't forget.
Yeah, of course.
The second reason is Emmanuel is another way of saying God with us. And that's what we do. That's what we're here for, is to just be God's hands and feet in this crazy fallen world.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And it chokes you up, chokes anybody up. Yeah. And it's an incredible passion that you've got. Now, it doesn't even end there. So then you wound up setting up a hospice, right? And this hospice story that I've heard sort of retold a few times is pretty cool. So why don't you tell me about how the hospice came about and how people showed up?
Okay, it is amazing. This is how, we just, everything we're doing is just, it's been really blessed, and we're amazed by what God is doing in the lives of people just through a little bit of obedience. So we started Emmanuel's Wish because we just really felt like we had to move forward and do something. So we started out first couple of years just helping other organizations on the ground. And that was good, and we learned a lot, and we grew a lot. And over that time, we just kind of saw where the gaps were in where care was and what works and what doesn't work. And so, there was orphanages for children, but there was no one caring for the dying parents. So, there was one instance where there was a little boy, and I was asked by an orphanage to go and pick him up and bring the little boy to the orphanage.
Whereabouts now are we?
In South Africa, sorry.
Okay.
So South Africa is where our base is and where most of our work is now. So I got in the car, I drove to pick up this little guy. I had been given an area, and I got to the house, and there was a 2-year-old child in the yard, a little boy. He was naked, and his belly was huge, and his hair was falling out, and he just was a mess.
The distension. And
yeah,
all that,
yeah, the distended belly. And so, but there was no adults anywhere. So I'm looking around, there's no adults. I went in the house, and there lying on a mat in the corner was his mother, and she was dying. And so I sat down with this woman, and we talked and talked and talked. And again,
So do you speak with a translator, or do you speak with them? Do they speak?
She could speak English.
Okay, cool.
So she was an easy communication. I do travel with a translator.
Okay.
But sometimes we don't need one, which was nice. Yeah.
Good.
So this young woman, we talked, and we learned that we were the same age. So at the time, I was 24, and so was she. And so I'm looking at a 24-year-old mom who's dying, and
laying on a mat.
lying on a mat AIDS is not a pretty thing to die from. So, she was in rough shape, and I'm to take her child. And so I spent as much time as I could trying to give her comfort in that. But the hard thing for me was she was 24 and I was 24. She had a 2-year-old. I had 2 2-year-olds at home.
Okay.
So I'm looking at a woman who just could have been me. We're just from different worlds, right?
Yeah.
So I talked her through this. She was relieved to see him go to somewhere safe. And then I took him and I walked away and I took care of him at the orphanage. But she died. And so that was kind of the catalyst to, there needs to be hospice care.
Where is this little boy now?
Area. The little boy, he actually has grown up in foster care within the South African system.
But at least he's taken care of.
He's been taken care of,
Okay.
yeah.
And so this hospice, for those who don't understand hospice, it's supposed to be where people who are terminally ill go.
Yes.
Now, there's some sort of kind of crazy irony of what's happened at this place.
We don't call it a hospice anymore.
You don't. It's more like a wellness center, isn't it? Because
we call it the comfort home now.
The comfort home. Now, people were showing up how? Because this blows my mind.
Okay, so in the South African system,
they don't walk there.
No. Well, you're sent home to die from the hospital, or you find out that you're ill because you've gotten so ill that you can't walk into the clinic. So we have people even just coming in just in wheelbarrows. Because
I have a Monty Python visual right now, and I know it sounds really terrible and morbid of the whole bring out your dead, but you've got people showing up in wheelbarrows.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And so they're wheeled or carried, or actually not anymore. We don't even have them coming in wheelbarrows anymore because we've come so far. We have vehicles now that we can go pick people up in the community. They don't have to come in wheelbarrows anymore, but they used to. And they come, like we started off as the hospice, and hospice care was only to care for people in their last days. And we found people chained to beds naked.
Chained?
Yes. Because the stigma of AIDS is still so thick in South Africa that people are terrified to get it, and so they're terrified to care for their loved ones.
So they chain them to a bed?
Or put them in a latrine.
Now, for the viewers to just sort of, if they take a few seconds and even close their eyes, they still can't imagine it as horrible as that is, to imagine being on your last days and people are afraid of catching what you've got, that they chain you to a bed.
Yeah. Your loved ones.
While you're dying. Your loved ones, the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally, have now put a condition on. You're staying here.
And do you know what the worst part of it for me was? Is seeing the children not being able to love their parents as they die. So
because children will love their parents unconditionally.
Children will love their parents.
Sometimes parents are complete jerks, and kids will still love them. But these are parents who are simply
locked away,
dying,
and they're not. The children are not given opportunities to see them.
And AIDS isn't like that. They can hug them.
They can listen.
Like they can
we
do
have
so
done
much.
so much wonderful advocacy. Like people
So
are
awful.
shocked when I come in and hug a patient, sit with and just do these the explanation. They just need an explanation. They need to understand. We've had so many people. Just one of my favorite parts of this is to free families to love on their dying family members. Honestly, just love them. And they do. Once they see that they can, they do.
People tend to know what AIDS is.
Yeah.
But they don't tend to embrace what AIDS isn't.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that AIDS isn't.
Yeah.
It's
not a bit. It doesn't even
being
have to be.
HIV positive and dying of AIDS, you can be fully functioning, normal in every way.
Yeah.
Well, in our perception of normal.
Yeah.
And everything's
absolutely.
fine. Give somebody a hug. It's okay.
Well, and this is why the stigma is so ridiculous, because there is no reason to be afraid of anyone with HIV or AIDS. There's no reason. And so one of our favorite things to do is just be teaching people that, we all know how to not catch it.
Yeah, it's a given.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
And you're fine.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to kiss. It's okay to hug. It's okay to use the same bathrooms. It's okay to use the same toothbrush. You're fine,
Yeah.
But the stigma's still there.
Fear is fear.
Fear is fear.
Right.
So we had all these people coming in.
Yeah.
And dying.
This is my favorite part.
I know. It is amazing. Sent home to die. and we take them in, and so we just went through our first year just going for it, and then we weren't even super paying attention to what was happening.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, I asked for like a numbers report so that I could send it out to the donors. Here's how many patients we had, blah, 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 blah. 70% of our patients got better and went back home again.
That's okay.
I know.
They're supposed to not
They were
get better.
all 100% there because they were dying. 100% there because they were dying.
And so what turned them around? You've got nutrition and love.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's different if you can't provide, your basic necessities of life.
Yeah.
And you aren't getting love, you're going to die.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what the other thing is, and this is a crazy thing, the South African government is set up so that they put you on a 3-month counseling session in order to start your ARVs.
Okay.
Which is the life-saving drugs for AIDS.
Mm-hmm. And they're not cheap.
They're not cheap, but the government will provide them for free after that 3-month counseling. However, people are coming in wheelbarrows before the counseling. They can't come back and come back and come back.
They're in agony and can't last.
They're dying. They're not going to last 3 months. So what we can do is we pay for the medication for 3 months, get them well enough to take the counseling, and then get them on the government treatment.
So it's like a buffer. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great. It's an amazing thing. There's just all these little things that when you put the pieces together of the puzzle, you're like, people don't have to die.
No.
It just doesn't have to be that way.
So people are going to this terminally ill place and leaving. Because
Mothers,
they got the other stuff.
Fathers, workers, grandparents. It's amazing.
I'm just picturing people sitting there like, what are you doing here? How'd you get home?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm fine.
I've gone into the
Thanks.
community and I've got mothers running up to me, tears rolling down their faces because their son came home and they weren't expecting it. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, part of preparing yourself for a loss is to
grieve it
and let go.
Yeah.
And so when you're learning to grieve and learning to make peace either with God or with your family or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait, I feel better. But not like quite like that. But they're going to feel better.
Yeah.
And now they're back.
Yeah.
Talk about a low. People talk about being in a valley and then coming out of it.
Yeah.
That's an incredible emotional roller coaster.
It is. It really is. I mean, even right now, we have a 12-year-old boy who came in last week who they were sure was going to die. Like, our staff was crying, talking about this young man, and he's already better. And they were sure this kid, they weren't going to be able to help him. But he's already, like...
That's amazing.
Now we're making a plan for what to do for him when he goes home.
It's not just amazing, and I know people say epic.
Yeah.
And if I see one more young girl post on Facebook that she's going out on a Saturday night and it's going to be epic, no. What you're doing is epic.
You know what? It's miracles.
It's miracles and it's epic. Yeah. And it is stuff that will survive your lifetime and the next because you have affected the planet in the most amazing and loving way. Right?
Yeah.
And so I hope the viewers understand this too. We're an Oromadante. You're one person with a dream. It's amazing what's happening to the world.
Yeah.
From somebody sitting in her home in Oromadante.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, come on, this is our community.
Yes.
You see this stuff on the news and you're like, oh, I can't believe this person is such a saint. This person's done
No,
so much. You
so
know what?
normal. So normal.
She's Christine Eisses.
Yeah.
She goes out in Oro.
Yeah.
She's cool.
Yeah. I was vacuuming before you came here today, right?
I know.
Like, yeah.
It's the normal life, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you have to vacuum a lot because we're going to loop around to this craziness of how fun and exciting your life is as a mom.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you've got 2 children, and now you've got
5.
Now you've got 5.
Yeah.
So tell me about this because I love this too. So tell me about how you met the other children and how you've embraced them and how you've now got a family of 5 children.
Well, we actually just through our work and seeing the effects of children without family around the world, we decided actually first to adopt. Before we had any biological children, we always wanted to adopt. We knew that. And so we began our family with adoption. And we adopted our twin daughters, Grace and Hannah, who are now 12 and...
12-year-old girls.
Yes.
And they're from where?
South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's neat because we travel back there every year and spend time in our projects there because there's the hospice, but there's also many other projects that we do there. And so they get to spend a significant amount of time in their culture, so that's really fun.
So they come back with you and see
where
they see their roots and see where they came from, their homes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. So that's Grace and Hannah, and then we have Josh, who's 10, and we have Eden, who's 4, and we've just adopted a new precious little daughter named Mariah.
The little newbie Mariah, because she's so cute.
She's so beautiful.
Yeah. Because I know that we were trying to arrange the interview, and it was like, well, you see, I've got kids. And I'm like, okay, well, how many kids? And you're like, well, we got a new baby we just adopted, and this incredible love you've got for doing this.
Oh, yeah. We're in love. We love our family. Like, our family is first, and we're just so blessed through our kids, and I mean, being a mom is everything to me, so yeah.
So when you step back and you have Christine time, I know it's probably hard to fathom, but you've got to have whether it's a spiritual release or a quiet time or something that gives you peace, because you got to, or when you maybe just cut loose. What is it? Do you get a chance to just hit a dirt bike trail? Do you chill out and read a book? What is your happy place?
Well, I love our farm. We live on a farm, and we do love our farm and taking care of the animals. And
it's hard not to love goats.
Hiking, and we do, Our goats are
goats.
wonderful. So there's that. But I mean, I would say my real grounding is in my relationship with God. I try and get some time every morning before the chaos hits to just spend some time in prayer and Bible reading, but I kind of run up here a lot. I'm one of those people that likes to be busy.
I get that.
And likes to kind of go at it all the time.
Yeah, I tend to do that.
I think you can relate to that, I'm sure. Yeah.
So then your time with God, though, and your time with everything going on, how do you maintain what is going on in Africa? So, and how can people learn more about it? I try not to give a big plug and talk about a business, but how can somebody learn more about Emmanuel's Wish and about the other things you do in the hospice? How can they learn this?
Okay. So, so in order to stay in contact, we spend a couple of months there every year, just to be there and be knowing what's going on. We have a phone date every week and an email date every day with my staff in South Africa. We have an amazing leadership team. Like, we've got an amazing crew. We have 20 staff members, and they're incredible people.
Sure.
So that really makes this a lot easier to be doing it from here. As far as helping us out and learning more, www.emmanuelswish.org.
Okay.
Or 705-487-5177 is our phone number.
We'll make sure that we can share that information in the best
because,
way, because there are going to be people who are watching this who are going to be inspired by you. I assure you that'll happen. And people are going to think, let's see what we can do to help.
Yeah.
All right.
And we need it right now. We're doing some growth stuff, and things are changing. Like, we have, so
what are some of the big things on the project coming up? What's coming up?
Well, we currently have a creche, which is a preschool for children whose parents would be releasing them to orphanages because they can't care for them. And instead, we take them for the day. So we pick them up in the morning, drop them off at 5 o'clock, feed them medicine, doctor's visits, clothing, whatever they need in between, so they can stay with their parents. Yeah. So we have 60 kids in that program right now, and we have it in a house that we bought for 12. So you can use some help. And so I'm sure, again, the viewers are going to want to see how they can help. Now, I got to say that some people use social media for so many silly things. Again, here's what we're doing on the weekend at a nightclub, or here's but realistically, for you to be able to communicate with South Africa, either by Skype or a video conference or whatever VoIP, it's nice to have this now, because stuff that you're doing now, even 10 years ago, I know it was
would have been extremely difficult.
Yeah, it was way harder. The world has changed so much. All of our staff members can get a hold of me. They can go right to the top, without anytime. They Facebook me all the time. Yeah, it is incredible. It's really incredible. It's also, we've found a lot of support through Facebook for just the little things. Like, I can put something on there that says, we've got this 16-year-old boy whose house just burned down, and he needs money to replace his school uniform.
Yeah, and simple things.
And
people can help with
can
everything
jump on
from
it.
glasses to
Yeah.
brick and mortar,
Yeah.
right? Like they can do all kinds of different things. They can help you get sinks and toilets for a
Absolutely,
new
yeah.
place.
Absolutely.
If people think about it in a different perspective as opposed to, well, I can't help, they just need too much.
I know.
Little things.
Oh, little things.
right?
You know what? We don't get government support. We run on the $20 a month donations. We really do.
Yeah.
It's incredible and it's amazing. And sometimes we don't
Sure.
know where the money's coming from, but it does come. And we just, we have our faith.
Well, it's funny because people look at social media and they need to look at it on the big picture
Yeah.
and know that you can help on an international level
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
on a bigger basis.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have any communication with Emmanuel?
No.
You don't know where he is?
No. I actually had
Part of me didn't want to ask that in case you weren't, and I'm sorry.
No,
'cause
it's okay.
Okay.
I had the day we left, I had invited him to a thing the next day. I was preaching at a church right there, and I had invited him to come and visit with me there, and we were going to have dinner and stuff, and he never came.
Okay. So, Christine, tell me about what happened in Nigeria.
Okay. What kind of pushed us to do Emmanuel's Wish was I had spent some time in Nigeria, and I had stumbled across this orphanage. And there was kids everywhere, and there was only 2 older ladies who were taking care of them. And I ended up going into this one building that was a block building, and there was no lighting inside, no windows. And I walked in, and I just looked around and took a minute for my eyes to adjust. There was wall-to-wall babies on the floor. And the thing about this room was it was quiet and no one was moving, and it was just such a challenge for me. And I reached down and I picked up the first baby, and her little body went into shock. And this moment changed my life forever. It changed our family, it changed our functionality, it changed what we do on a day-to-day basis, because no child deserves that. And and it just really, it's the moment I say that God changed me forever. I say it's the moment God wrecked me forever.
People need to realize that it's not about watching somebody on TV asking for money with children, and people go, I can't handle this, and change the channel.
Because they're real.
They need to realize that this is going on every day
Yeah.
to millions of people.
Yeah.
If you were to tell me what Christine Eisses is going to do, this is my next step
Yeah.
in just sort of a condensed version. Here's what we want to do next.
Yeah.
Watch me. What is it?
Well, what Emmanuel's Wish
You're
will
being
be
a mom.
doing.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So you answer that.
Yep. Where Emmanuel's Wish is going in the next little bit is we're desperate to get this bigger creche going so that we can actually have a real amazing early childhood education program. And then the house that we have, we want to start foster care for children that have foster parents.
Yeah.
We also, the community we work in is 7 wards, and they have no access to books. So we want to start libraries in each of the 7 wards over the next 7.
So you need a book campaign.
Well, it's going to cost us about $7,000 for one library in each community. That's to buy the building.
Try to do that on the city of Barrie.
Right?
Just to learn something.
$7,000
We're going to open a library for $7,000.
I know. That includes like the actual building and everything. So it's $7,000 a building, and so that's over the next few years. That's what we're gonna do. We have librarians ready to start helping us like organize things, and So our next steps are this creche, early childhood education program, our libraries going in, and just watching things grow. We also try not to plan too hard, because God can move us and change us, and
sometimes being planned too much takes away some of the spirit being put into it.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you personally for everything that you do. I'm sure the community does. I'm sure
we love doing it.
I'm sure we're not being, extended all the way out to South Africa and people watching in the Philippines. But for anybody who knows you, awesome. Great job. And for those who don't know you, I hope people learned a little bit about you today on our show. Because honestly, I think you're doing a great job. And people need to realize that there are people walking among us that are making big changes. So thank you, Christine, for being a part of my show today.
Yeah, thank you.